आएगा ये बीच में क्यों नहीं आएगा?
हेलो। माइक चेक। चेक। हेलो। आपको उसमें हेलो हेलो।
अरे मैं पीपीटी लगाता हूँ, सॉरी, ये पेन ड्राइव लगाता हूँ आपका। मैडम बिल्कुल लैपटॉप नहीं चाहिए, लैपटॉप की जरूरत नहीं है, पीपीटी खोल दिया है, ये दिखेगा लैपटॉप की जगह हम अपना लैपटॉप लगाता हूँ, तुम्हें खत्म होने का शीशा ऑनलाइन का मैं लैपटॉप लेके आता हूँ, एक दिमाग की है ना क्या?
सुनो ना, इनके पास दो ऑनलाइन है, खुद मेरा है।
हाँ तो मैं अपना लैपटॉप
आप
लगा
डायरेक्ट इधर लगा पाओगे।
हाँ ये पीपीटी ये निकाल
सबको दिखाना
क्या दिखाने का?
सबका पीपीटी जो भी ऑफलाइन है कॉपी कर लो।
हाँ तो ये पहले फ्रीज कर दो ना, सबको स्क्रीन के दिखा रहे हैं।
तो उधर से फ्रीज हो गया।
तो उसको बोलो ना, जैसे ये लाइटिंग में ये दिखने लगा।
अभी कोई नहीं चालू नहीं हुआ है तो कर दो, ये लाइव स्ट्रीम पे जाओ।
लाइव स्ट्रीम पे जाएगा,
चालू है लाइव स्ट्रीम, मैं भी दिख रहा हूँ, हम
फ्रीज
लोग दिख
करने
रहे हैं
तो
अभी।
फ्रीज करने को बोल।
लाइव स्ट्रीम स्टॉप नहीं होगा, लिंक का दूसरा हो
आई
जाएगा।
अंडरस्टैंड, तो फ्रीज करने को बोल ना उसको।
उनके पास नंबर है तो वो बोल दो।
दिनेश अभी मुझे कुछ कॉपी करना है तो ये स्क्रीन दिखाना नहीं है, जो मैं इधर कॉपी कर रहा हूँ ना उधर नहीं दिखना चाहिए। हर्षद को बोलो ना, हर्षद को बोलो लैपटॉप लेके आने के लिए अपना, हर्षद को बोलो अपना बेडरूम में लेकर, बेडरूम में है तो चार्जिंग दे। हाँ करूँ मैं?
ये वैकॉम है यार, ये तो वैकॉम है, डिजिटल पैड है, वैकॉम का स्केच पैड है ये।
हाँ
पेन भी ना देखो,
हाँ चार्जर भी सर।
और स्केच करते हैं सब आएगा।
ला के रखो,
हाँ लेकिन इधर कुछ दिख नहीं रहा है,
फायदा नहीं है।
लेकिन मुझे तुम्हारा इसमें कुछ नहीं दिख रहा है ना, अगर मुझे यहाँ पीपीटी कॉपी करना है कैसे करूँगा? पीपीटी मुझे इधर कॉपी करके रखना है यहाँ पे,
उसको फ्रीज करने को बोलो ना स्क्रीन।
नहीं दिख रहा है। नहीं दिखा, हाँ अभी दिखा,
नहीं उधर भी दिखा।
उधर भी दिख रहा है ना। देखो अब तो कॉपी हो गया था, देखो मैडम क्या कर सकता है, देखो देखो मैं डायरेक्ट पेन ड्राइव में से दिखाना छोड़ो।
यू वांट द पीपीटी और द पीडीएफ।
फाइल को डायरेक्ट पेन ड्राइव में से दिखाओ, इनका खत्म होने के बाद अपना पेन ड्राइव लगाना, इनका खत्म होने अपना पेन ड्राइव लगाओ, डायरेक्ट पेन ड्राइव में से दिखाओ, क्या फर्क पड़ता है?
मेरे पूरे फोल्डर में बहुत और कुछ है, मुझे नहीं चाहिए।
फोल्डर यहाँ पे लिया तो उसको दे दो, तो कॉपी कर देगा यहाँ दिख जाएगा।
Do I need to check? हेलो। संजय।
खाना खाने के बाद से खाना पूरे दिन के ऊपर मंचूरियन और ये सब जाओ अभी वही
ऐसे खाओ।
थोड़ा खाएंगे ना मंचूरियन अच्छा है मंचूरियन अच्छा है
ये रखा हटाओ।
टाइम पास करते रहेंगे चार्जिंग फुल है दोनों को चार्जर में से
ऑनलाइन चलेगा, कहीं और चलेगा ऑनलाइन।
5 घंटे के बीच में
आपको चेक करना है ना। दोनों मत लाइव स्ट्रीम चालू है। 5 मिनट लगेगा।
5 मिनट का
हाँ हो गया हो गया।
4-5 मिनट हो
ये निकालो मैडम की थमा दो।
स्पीकर बोल रहा है Which one? This is ये पता नहीं क्या है
सुनिए सुनिए
आ गया
तुम्हारा बैग है वहाँ पीछे
किधर
ऑनलाइन मीटिंग
वो
शुरू
डोर
हो
है।
गया क्या
डोर को लग के
ऑनलाइन मीटिंग चालू हो गया
मीटिंग चालू है हम ज्वाइन करके बैठे हुए हैं हमको यहाँ से स्टार्ट करने का मैं डाउनलोड कर लेता हूँ डायरेक्ट यहीं से करते हैं वही दे देगा
हाँ दो ही है। जैसे जब वो अपॉइंटमेंट का बिल रिंग करेंगे ना तो क्या नाम होगा
सुना ना तो भी व्हाट्सएप पे लॉगिन करके डाउनलोड कर रहा हूँ
बस वही है डाउनलोड करके
डाउनलोड कर लेना क्योंकि बाद में इसको भी फ्लैश मत होने देना
बाकी जो है उनका तो पीपीटी को लोग खुद लेके आए
ये लोग तो दो लेके आ गए है ना वो अपलोड करके इनका डाउनलोड कर लो फिर ही शुरू करो
तो 5 मिनट का बिल बनेगा कि जो ऑनलाइन वाले हैं उनको सिर्फ एक बार इन्फॉर्म कर देना है कि भैया आ जाओ। हाँ एक हाँ इसमें सिंह दे रहा presentations are loaded. I think
No, you are presenting in person, huh?
yeah.
So
So
when
we
you are
will bring the pen drive.
yeah.
Okay. आ गया लैपटॉप अपना दिखाना है कि नहीं लैपटॉप अपना
कौन सा दिखाना है अभी दिखाना
डाउनलोड हो जाएंगे फिर दिखाना
क्या नाम है उसका?
नुपुर
नुपुर ये है और
दत्तात्रेय ऊपर ही उसके
ये तो पीपीटी सॉफ्ट कॉपी में सबका है ना
हाँ
तो पेन ड्राइव ला के क्यों डालना है उसमें करवा के नहीं डालना है ना
ठीक है उसका भी डाउनलोड किया
सबका ही डाउनलोड कर लेंगे
अरे जिसका जिसका पेन ड्राइव है उसके पेन ड्राइव से
ठीक है
ज़्यादा
चलो
बेटर
ठीक
है। हाँ पेन ड्राइव का क्या इसमें ढूंढना पड़ेगा इससे अच्छा वो कनेक्ट होकर सीधे लोकेशन पे जाएंगे आप।
ठीक हो गया
एक का पेन ड्राइव लगाए बाहर पेन ड्राइव सिंपल है।
ऑनलाइन वालों का डाउनलोड करेंगे
चालू है
શું યુએન આઈ ને વાત કરે છે તું? હા હા એ મળી ગયા અહીંયા લગે લાગેલા છે. ચાઇનીઝ મતલબ શું હોય? હા હા હા
So a quick look at what is the research framework that this paper is looking at. So we are looking at identifying the factors of social spaces which will influence the shaping of the unbuilt, and hence may be helpful in redefining what we consider as perceived or lived social spaces today. With this, we are coming in the context of a mixed-use neighborhood, wherein social spaces, how they are being used by different user groups in terms of social interaction, will be, with whether the spaces are conducive or not to define what is social sustainability, and whether the given neighborhood is socially sustainable further or not. The mixed-use development which is happening currently, when the typologies of social spaces are identified on the basis of user groups, the changing societal needs will be considered, and a certain definition, if we can arrive at, for the current scenario for social spaces. The overall broader framework of the PhD research has been put on the same slide, just to relate with the current research paper, how it fits into the broader framework. We look at, in short, the case study area. I had shortlisted 3 neighborhoods in Thane city, in which the figure ground was understood, the ratio of the built with the unbuilt was taken out. And if we see, the first example is where the core city is showing a percentage of 41 to 59, and the present developments, one is along the Ghodbandar road and one is Vasant Vihar, which is a core city area again, but in a developed format, in a very planned manner. It is having a ratio of 36 to 64, and coincidentally both the ratios are almost matching. To understand how the neighborhoods were selected, the broader division of the corporation limits was considered under the old core city. The second was, something which is awaiting redevelopment, and redevelopment has just started in the neighborhoods. One zone is the the prime growth magnet, which we can see currently in Thane. And one zone of Thane is where, you can find currently the development is at the least. So there will be a comparative study which will be done between the neighborhoods of all these zones. The first neighborhood being the Sarai zone, which is the old core city area. The second being the Vasant Vihar area, which falls in the prime growth magnet area, Majivde. The third being the study area, which is Hiranandani Estate, which is along the Ghodbandar road, and it also falls under the prime growth magnet area. Descriptions about the neighborhoods currently, because of shortage of time, I won't be able to give it now, but if there are any questions related to that, I'll be answering it later. The unbuilt as a social space was the inquiry. So there were certain parameters and factors which were considered. And there was a field study which was done, where the objectives were to investigate the potential and opportunities of the unbuilt and how it is contributing positively in the social sustainability zone. To identify the factors and parameters of unbuilt which will play a crucial role in contributing to the social sustainability under this background of transformation and growth. To study the unbuilt, considering its locational aspect, its relational placement with surrounding land uses and the mixed-use development. To analyze the accessibility to unbuilt spaces and the connectivity network between unbuilt spaces to establish continuity in social spaces. With this, I'll just come to the summarization of what is it that we could understand out of the study in terms of how the built and unbuilt are related to each other. In the historic 19th century organic neighborhoods of Thane, wherein we are seeing the central Charai area which falls in that region, although it is devoid of spacious parks and gardens, yet the scale of small pocket spaces cannot be undermined. And this little different type of morphology is definitely adding value to the placemaking of that place, because it relates with a certain human scale. The findings also indicate that residents are grouped by local culture, common identity and shared values, and rely on the quality of social exchanges that happen in a given typology of space. The typology of space, in turn, further dependent on how the urban form. I'll just move through and come to the last slide. This research helps conclude that cities live in their neighborhoods, and since it is at the scale of the neighborhood that the actual dynamics of social use, interaction, and exchanges are executed in urban space. The built form decides the leftover figure ground, and hence, it also defines the usability of the unbuilt. The unbuilt leftovers either are capable of taking the to build or contribute towards the social sustainability, or maybe, they become defunct if they are not capable of building the social sustainability. Summarizing, this paper helps understand the current status of unbuilt spaces in the shortlisted neighborhood case studies of Thane, such that the relationship between the user groups and the unbuilt spaces having potential of contributing to social sustainability for given neighborhoods can be understood. Such unbuilt spaces further get identified as adequate or inadequate, potentially utilized with a high value ranking to qualify as a social space. The study of deficit and unutilized unbuilt spaces which lack the capacity to build meaningful social interactions and hence low on performance get disqualified as a social space, and hence they will be low on social sustainability. So the current research paper has helped me to arrive at certain indicators of social sustainability, and this research will be taken ahead in my further process of PhD work. So thank you so much. I'll be taking the questions later on.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you, ma'am, for being so precise and sticking to the time limit. It was indeed a very nice presentation. I'm sure a lot of questions will come to you. Thank you. The next participant presenter is Nupur Mistry, and this is going to be an online presentation.
We are online now, so we are not getting that low enough. So you have to put here.
You online? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello, sir. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay. Should I start presenting?
Yes, ma'am. You have 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, the first warning bell will be given. 6 minutes will be the second warning bell. And 7th minute, you'll have to stop the presentation. So please stick with the time limit. Keep within the time frame. Hello?
It is showing. Share. Okay. Now, sir, now it is visible now. Okay. Good afternoon. I am here to present our research paper, that titled "Innovative Architecture and Design Thinking Approach for Mitigating Impacts of Climate Change." It is authored by myself, Dr. Nupur Mistry, Associate Professor from Anantara Power College of Architecture, and Dr. Gauri Desai from ADYPU International University. Okay. This paper covers the climate change scenarios, that is regionally, and its impacts on local ecology. It emphasizes the planning architectural solutions can tackle socio-culture, economy, environmental challenges in the face of climate change. It promotes partnership between the sustainable living and development, emphasizing on willingness to make a difference. Then hydrochlorocarbon, and this figure is almost double in the coming decade. It's a high time to adopt the traditional wisdom to cut down the rising percentage. So now, what are the challenges that we are facing? So the challenges of energy efficiency, then carbon footprint, water management can be mitigate through a sustainable approach of reuse and recycle, or along with the renewable energy solutions, balancing the Panchamahabhutas. And it is like combining the modern technological innovation with traditional wisdoms. Then green architecture. So first of all, we should understand like what is green architecture. So it is a design and construction practice that meet a specific standard, resolving much of the negative impact on building, on their occupants, and on the environment. So this is a modern day initiatives like meeting the standards, yes, resolving the negative impact on environment. So this is achieved through the orientation of the building envelopes, and then site planning, indoor environmental quality control, stormwater management, landscape feature, etc. So for that, I have taken two case studies for green initiatives that have it is there in India. So we all are aware of Infosys campus in Pune. So the green initiatives here may look the techno savvy, but however have contributed to the reducing the company's per capita like water consumption by 34% and per capita electricity consumption by 40%. So this has been achieved through high performance windows and efficient and envelope insulated walls, roof, making its building energy efficient. The second case study that I have taken, CII Godrej, it is situated in Hyderabad. So the key feature of these award-winning initiatives are inspired by the traditional wisdom. It has a conventional courtyard design concept, which not only act as a gathering place for interacting in intellectual and cultural encounter, but also contribute immensely through the passive cooling strategies and act as a light well illuminating adjacent work areas. And it has the following key feature of circular planning and sustainable use of materials, making it more sustainable. So circular planning includes the limitless flexibility of design layout, orientation of the sun par, approximately 25% less exterior surface which is exposed to the sun. The roof design, it is self supporting, which allow ultimate floor design, unrestricted circular of air, at least 10 times stronger than conventional square contribution. And the circular footprint create approximately 25% more square footage than square building using the same amount of material. And then immense amount of material, like reused material, like 77% of the building are made up with the recycled and reused material. So that include the fly ash, broken glass, recycled paper, recycled aluminium, and biogas, mineral fiber, cellulose fibers, and quarry dust. So that is also a great initiative that has taken by the Godrej company. So here are some few more images that are used to traditional architectural elements. Jali, which allows controlled passage of light and air into interior space, diffusing the glare of direct sunlight to the passage. So again, this is the section of that particular building. This is a typical example of wind tower, and airflow movement supporting passage cooling. The section below showing the contribution of the courtyard and wind tower both. And this is the conclusion. Here we know that green initiative is very important, and it is already existing there in our history. So we just need to think about how we can incorporate that thing into our modern or contemporary architecture. So last, I will like to say this saying by Chief Settle in 1855: humankind has not woven the web of life. We are but on thread within it. Whatever we do to do the web, we do to ourselves. All things are bound together. All things are connected. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That was very nice and very well explained with the proper slides and all. Thank you very much for keeping to the time frame and concluding within the time limit. It was nice listening to you. I'm sure you'll get a lot of questions. The question answer session will be at the end of all the
Okay, ma'am.
presentations. So please stay online for the question answer session, which will be in a few minutes after this. Thank
Okay,
you,
ma'am. Okay, no problem. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, the next presenter is Dattatreya. Is he online?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Architect Dattatreya Ambare.
Hello. I have shared my screen, ma'am.
It is visible. It's visible.
No, screen, the PPT नहीं visible नहीं है.
Yes. Okay, it's visible.
Yes, sir, now it's visible.
Okay, sir. Uh, Good afternoon, and all. Today, I would like to present my topic: a documentary analysis of slum encroachment in the railway areas in the Indian subcontinental, causes, solution, and disregard within the Solapur, Maharashtra. Uh, this research is present by me, Dattatray Ambure. I am a student of ADYPU, Ajink University, Pune, and uh, I have helped to my guide, Dr. Gauri Desai, for my selection of topic and all over the work. The railway network is spread all over the world. There were slums alongside railway tracks everywhere in India, also the world. In India, poor people trained to live mainly on railway sites and their railway tracks. Metro cities like Mumbai and more than 10 lakh people living in uh, slums near the railway tracks. The notice for regard this who also issued in railway administration in Solapur city in June 22 for issue of railway side slum has been published. That time my concept for this issue has to be present in my local paper. And this study shows the how the slum dwellers can be provided their own house with the provision under this Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana is capable. And uh, aim of that to review the concern of the slum dwellers on railway premises are possible, and to objective to address the concern of the slum dwellers on railway premises and attempt to mitigate the same by the providing viable solution for the same. Background of the study: the paper of research, news published in Dainik Divya Marathi on 24th April 22 regarding the scrutiny of houses on the railway property. 3,000 people houses are demolished in Solapur city has been published in local newspaper, and also the railway administration has been declared for this slum are to be shifted other side or to be demolished. That time I have concept for this clear for I'm some research on this paper are essential, and the slum people in railway side are as this figure shows uh, nearest the city, nearest the railway station, the people are living in the slum side area, and the people are living in the slum basically in railway bogie. The people are cleaning nets and Banjara people and also third gender people are come and collect the money in railway slum railway passengers, and these people are mostly living prefer in railway side slum. And the metro cities are the people are migrated people are mostly preferred for railway side slum because the rental is a small amount are available. And I'm studied lots of literature, but I'm selected the three literature in this study and one case study. uh, Respect for the slum dwellers along with the uh, first case study is first paper is literature for Khulna, Bangladesh. The city of Khulna, being the third largest city in Bangladesh, has a slum area about 8.14% of the total slum area, which derived the basic sanitation facilities, and that the government has provided for the these people for living this railway side slum has been provided. The basic amenities are provided by the government, and the reliability, responsiveness, and awareness and empathy for ASP model are provided by this government. And Supreme Court action respect for the slum dwellers along with the Delhi railway tracks as the center of SC, and to no corrective steps will be taken against them. There was eviction of 48,000 slum along with the Delhi railway line. The court come to decision to no steps must be taken by the court unless this is not a proper decision for taken the government of relocation. This was the assurance for Purwan Thakur Mehta, Justice Khurshid, agreed this concerned slum dwellers should be heard before they arriving the proper decision is not making. And the proper protocol was followed by the respect rehabilitation of the slum dwellers according to the Delhi of the rehabilitation relocation policy has been sanctioned in 2015. And and third is the case of Mumbai relocation program. The concern addressed in the paper regarding 60,000 people who dwell in slum in Harbour Line in Mumbai. Most of the people are not to be fit in criteria of the government resettlement, and the result for which they left the benefit due to this relocation program. And the government has provided 255 square foot free of cost, and not able to kept only for 120 square foot are to be taken. And this scheme is totally for not in upgrade in this way, and methodologies are used for this research. A survey needs to undertaken the collect the data on slum dweller regarding the railway premises track, as in the major cities. Every individual slum resident in India has like Aadhaar card, ration card, election card. Arrange the acquired data for this study, and this Aadhaar card has to be mentioned the houseability for this unit of this slum dwellers, and gives this benefit for this Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana component one. And the arrangement can be must take the available residential places at cheaper rental place. The whose people are not in that India at no home. These people are living in this area for a rental basis, and
Excuse
these
me,
people
sir.
are no home at India. These people are to be shifted in this scheme. Are possible.
Uh,
Sir, faster. Okay, no problem. And case study for Nairobi city. For this is the present situation, and upgrade for this service road has to be taken in this new upgrade this home. And failure of that guidelines of the resettlement not followed. Educated people face the many issues such as the high cost living, higher education fees, and work distances of the basic communities. And this is the one paper for published in my Solapur city. रेल्वे अतिक्रमणे कारणे आणि होणारी अपेक्षा. In this paper, I am mentioned for this all concept of this clear by the how to achieve. Okay, sir. I recommended that the SRS scheme are possible and concluded an attempt to bring the into timeline to concern this railway dwellers and attempt to suggest the solution for this slum. And in my city, Pranitita Shinde has been Pranitita Shinde is for suggest for these people are to be shifted or solution for that in submit on CM of Maharashtra. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Sorry, but we have to have the time limit because there are other participants also. So thank you so much for presenting and finishing off within the time. Our next presenter is Deepali. This is offline.
Hello. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dipali Vadhaukar. I am an associate professor in Thakur School of Architecture and Planning. My paper title is Can Urban Social Spaces contribute towards a safer society, gender innovative spaces for today. So the aim of the research is to attempt and understand and analyze the evolution of gender innovative spaces and society through a lens of social and empowerment. So these are some of the subheadings under which the paper is written. The study of the urban spaces developed for women to understand their role in past and for the future, to attempt to link creating urban spaces for women and their need for social and financial independence, attempt to introspect optimal use of urban social spaces and find solutions to gender-based issues, take a critical view of the evolution of women empowerment, discuss the paradigm shift in the needs of women, providing education to creating spaces that are safe, accessible, and provide a platform for communicating the needs to the society. I think the culmination is to analyze the study and create innovative strategies to overcome the need of contemporary spaces for women and facilitate social and financial empowerment. This is the parameter of analysis. There are 4 points that I have looked at: social and financial independence of women, urban spaces developed for women and their role in society, importance of such urban spaces in the urban fabric, and evolution of gender innovative spaces through the lens of social empowerment. So what is the need for social and financial independence of women? So social independence means a safe environment and providing a platform where freedom of expression is available. Today, even today, I think the opinion of a woman in a household may not be always considered primary and is many a times given a secondary here. I think that is something that needs to change. Social independence in the way that women are able to express themselves freely. The second part is financial independence, which is opportunity for higher education for women. Many a times women, especially in lower cadre of society, the girls are asked to leave their education so that their peers who are their male counterparts are able to learn. So that is something that needs to stop. Equal opportunities for women at workplace, which is sometimes not given considering that she's a woman. Opportunity to become entrepreneurs, financial assistance for women is not easily available. So are social urban spaces developed for women in today's society? That is probably one of the questions that I'm asking today. The importance of such social urban spaces in the urban fabric. So traditionally, we have always had social spaces where women interaction was easily possible through markets, wells, gardens, where women were interacting very freely, as you can see in these photographs. And this has been the traditional way in which our society, the women in the society have been interacting. The second is social occasions. So traditional rituals evolved around a lot of interaction which happened between women. So this is one photograph of a Maharashtrian custom called Mangagaur, which is predominantly a female festival. And this is also practiced in West Bengal, which is Sindur Khela. Again, only women participate in this. So these are 2 ways in which traditionally social spaces were created for women in our society. But what should ideal urban spaces today achieve? Since the women of today do not get a lot of scope to interact like this on such social platforms with the fast life that we are living in. So let us look at how such spaces or how ideal spaces should be evolved. So this is a study done by the United Nations Women Organization, and they have made these caricatures wherein there are 5 such caricatures which talk about what an ideal city, which is an equal city and to which leads us toward gender equality, should have. The first, it talks about an unstereotypical avenue. If you can see the picture, there is a man carrying the children instead of a woman. Then there are women and men playing together. There is a handicapped person also included in that. So this is what they are looking at when they say unstereotypical avenue. The second is a violence-free alley. So you can see a lot of women moving around alone. There is one tagline which says that a woman calling somebody and saying that you don't need to pick me up, I can manage coming on my own. So that is something that we are looking at, equality and a violence-free and a safe society where women can move around alone without the fear of somebody, some crime happening against them. The third is equal pay street, which talks about, so you can see a construction workers, a male and a female together working. Then there is another woman giving a presentation. So they're talking about, equal pay and no discrimination at work. The fourth is a toxic masculinity recycling plant, which talks about how I think some of these things that are ingrained in us, that men don't cry, women are weak. Those kind of things need to go, and we need to start addressing these for our future generations, and do not put these kind of tags in their heads. So that is why this is the fourth one. And the final being an inclusive square where you can see everybody is included, be it people from different communities. So this is my case study. So let us now look at the reality today. What we have in India, women empowerment centers in India. So this is a case study of Seva Sadan, which is situated in South Mumbai. This was established in 1908, and at the moment it houses 10,000 girls are given home, 40,000 girl students are educated, and 2,500 women are empowered. So they have a financial empowerment center where they are teaching them beauty and grooming courses and sewing and baking courses. They also have a school which is an English and Marathi medium school and also teacher training institute. So they are trying to empower them in their own way. But is this enough? According to me, we need to go beyond this. What we need to create is a safer environment. This was done in the 1900s when education was a paramount requirement for women. Today, a lot of us are getting educated, but we are still not equal. So the probable solution is the first step center. So it talks about taking the first step towards independence. So the idea is creating such first step centers within one neighborhood. And these could be created in existing social urban spaces. It does not need to be made in as a new, so a school like our institute could become a center and can function for the women who need this kind of help. So what are the situations where the first step center will be helpful? Just last. Women seeking medical and legal aid, women seeking information, women looking at temporary refuge, women seeking refuge due to domestic abuse, women seeking help to start a business, and women undergoing abuse seeking counseling. So these are major things where a woman probably needs help and many times is not aware how to go about it. So, and this is some of the spaces that are required for this. So if you look at this, the information desk and kiosk, a counseling facility, medical center, temporary shelter, where a woman, so suppose a lady is stranded in the city due to floods, then she can go to this space and have a overnight shelter which is safe and which is easily available to her, which today at the moment in a city is not available. Legal aid, which is very important. Women want to step out of abuse but do not know how to go about it. There are a lot of schemes that are available, but everybody is not aware. So this becomes the first step towards creating that awareness and first step towards equality. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That was nice. I'm sure a lot of women are relating to it, resonating with it, and will look forward to a really fruitful outcome of your research.
Thank you.
Okay. The next presenter is Sujit and Rajesh.
I'm not able to close this. Nahi, band kar.
I would request the audience to please keep their mobiles on silent or shut it off because it is disturbing. And please pay attention to what is being said because it is not just a presentation. You're not sitting here just to watch a slide or a screen. Please participate in it, engage in it actively because these are the topics that could be your research topics later on. I mean, like you are sitting here, so be part of it. Don't just sit here for the sake of sitting. Somebody has forced you to sit. Aisa nahi hona chahiye. Listen to what is being said. We expect questions from you.
Hello. Well, good afternoon, one and all. Okay. First of all, I would like to thank TSAP for organizing such a nice paper presentation. Our topic is reimagining spaces in urban development areas to improve children's and environment health. Okay. Now here we are concerned about the spaces in urban areas where they are artificially designed, basically. So without doing much ado, I'll go with the next slide. The content of the presentation, we talk about the abstract first, then aim, objective, introduction, then we write to a case study, which is online, offline, and how we arrive at the inferences, conclusion, and policy recommendations. Okay. Our abstract talks about basically to learn spaces about children play areas in the urban neighborhoods where there is artificial surfaces, no nature is involved. So basically the children are devoid of nature. So our area aims to study that कि how कैसे बच्चों के play areas में we should have natural surfaces and they should be aware of it. The outline of the case study. Now we have seen that, I think the same, yeah, okay. Okay. Current children's spaces provide poor quality, they are devoid of natural elements, they do not support the scale proportion. Also, when artificially surfaces are exposed right from childhood, they are not able to make decisions when they go to nature, like falling from a rock or say playing in a water body, they're always scared. So basically this nature is devoid in all urban areas. Okay. Now our aim is to formulate a framework and guidelines for such quality surfaces, right? Rejuvenate them or rather redesign them, revamp them in every possible way where nature is again given to them. Objective is to understand urban spaces areas. Our case study will be Thakur village. Here we have taken as a neighborhood planning. Outline of the study. Methodology is like we have one online case study, we have one offline case study. Online case study is from Japan. Offline is our Thakur village neighborhood. Mapping and tracking various activities in the areas. Our age group shall be, of course, from 0 to 12 years, this being the category. The stages, what we have seen since our childhood, and the parallel things, like for example, an infant just knows to play alone. He never knows to play outside, right? He cannot walk, he cannot crawl. Then come to next years, like 3 to 6 years, they are in nursery, play group. Again, they have imagining, symbolic play. Then 6 to 9 years, they require some play gadgets. And of course, when you come to 9 years, 12 years, they are just entering the teenage group. Then the remembers, what do you remember? Like, I think from my childhood, if I remember, I don't remember when I was below 6 years, I think. 6 साल का था तब से मुझे जो याद है वही याद है, उसके बाद कुछ याद नहीं है. इसका मतलब ये होता है कि 6 साल की उम्र से जो बच्चा देखता है वही कॉन्सेप्ट जिंदगी भर लेके चलता है. तो अर्बन एरियाज में अपने को ये चेंज करना है. दैट इज़ वाई वी हैव इंट्रोड्यूस दिस रिसर्च टॉपिक. Now, play spaces these are just generic play spaces, permanent play spaces, transient play spaces, affective play spaces, and physical play spaces. Okay. Now we go back to again our case study. Case study is Megurizaka Pond renovation in Japan. Now this particular case study is very different because they have involved nature into the play areas. And one again different feature is that the play areas are different. If you go to any Indian playground or any garden, you can see sandpit is different, the slides are different, the grassland is different, but this play area or this garden includes in overlapping. This is overlapping of surfaces. You can see in the next, this you can see this layers. It is not separate play areas. Like water body है, तो उसके आसपास ही areas involved है. अब देखेंगे तो, okay. So separate play areas are not there. This is a major attraction for this playground or say a garden, what we can say. Okay. Now we come to say Indian context. ये सब तो जापान में देख लिया, लेकिन जो जापान में देखा वो यहाँ पे नहीं हो सकता ना. थोड़ा इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट भी देखना पड़ेगा. इसीलिए हम नेक्स्ट स्लाइड वी कैन इंट्रोड्यूस द इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट. जो मेरे बचपन में मैंने खेला, जो आपके बचपन में खेला और जो हमारे गुरु बैठे हैं उनके बचपन में भी खेला है, हम तीनों का जनरेशन अलग है. तो हमने तीनों अलग अलग एकदम ही अलग चीज़ें खेली है. जैसे मैंने गलियों में खेला है कभी कभार, या कभी मैदानों में, खुले मैदानों में खेला है. हमारे टाइम पे अमराई होती थी, अम्बावाड़ी होती थी. ओके. उसके बाद का जनरेशन है, उन्होंने थोड़ा बहुत कंट्रोल एरियाज़ में सीखा, और अभी का जो जनरेशन है एकदम ही कंट्रोल एरियाज़ में खेलता है, तो उनको नेचर क्या है वो पता ही नहीं होता है. तो ये केस स्टडी बेसिकली इसके लिए है कि अब जो प्ले एरियाज़ वंचित हैं अभी के जनरेशन के लिए, वो वापस उनको दिए जाए. दिस इज़ द होल आइडिया ऑफ द रिसर्च. ओवर टू द नेक्स्ट पार्ट टू सुजीत सर. थैंक यू सर.
Okay, the presentation is still on. So we went on to study a neighborhood area in an urban context. So what were the criteria to select a neighborhood? So we wanted a neighborhood which has a good blend of educational as well as recreational spaces, and we also were looking for variety of open spaces which the city is offering. So we took a case of Thakur village itself, and when we studied the development plan, we got to understand that there are variety of pockets that we are available with, and they have playgrounds, they have gardens, they have maidans. Uh, so all these areas we wanted to study much more in deeper way, just to understand that what is the quality of play spaces which are available for our children in urban context. So we went on to study Thakur village. Based on census 2011 data, we found out that there are some 60,000 students which are currently residing in Thakur village. And we wanted to understand the look and feel of these spaces which are there currently. So we had our random sampling method wherein we inquired with the students what is their expectations from the play spaces, and we got to know a lot of new things. We understood that they do require natural elements to play, just like how their parents used to play, and there were a lot of natural elements which they seek in their play spaces. We did our observational survey as well. It was shocking for us as well to see that all the play spaces that currently are governed by artificial surfaces and the dedicated play apparatus which is there in our neighborhood. Then we evaluated a lot of spaces in the same neighborhood, and we got to know that the ecological value of these play spaces was very, very less as compared to the aesthetical value. Just 5 minutes. Yeah. 2 minutes. Yeah. So we evaluated the spaces in Thakur village. We put on some values for these spaces which are available in Thakur village. And we got to understand that the element of natural elements was very, very less as compared to the aesthetical elements. So more preference was given to the look and feel rather than how the child felt in these play spaces. So our conclusion basically derives on the form that the children places which are there available in our city need a comprehensive planning. They need to be planned, understanding the student satisfaction level as well. What are their needs? What are their expectations? We want them to have a direct contact with nature rather than just having looking around the trees at certain distance or watching it on their phones. We want them to have a daily contact with nature on daily basis. We Yeah, just last slide. So we have recommended a certain material palette and certain policies, which I think as planners, designers, child psychologists, or even people who are working with natural elements should come together and design places which has these array of natural surfaces, natural materials, which would be designed for our children. Because if we are talking about SDG goals, especially good health and well-being and sustainable cities and communities, we need to cater to our children first, because these are the people who are going to be the future of our society. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, sir. From the resounding applause you're getting, I gather it is a very hit among all the audience. So thank you, audience, for such a grand applause. Yeah, but it was interesting, and like you said, children are the future and they do need it. So with this, we end the presentations, paper presentations, and now we are on to the question answer session. So if you all have, hopefully you all have had questions and I'll have passed it on to the session chair. We will now start with the first.
Anybody has a questions formulated, please pass it on to me so that I can evaluate the
Audience,
merit and then I can pass it on to the presenters to answer them.
if you all have any questions, write them
Please
down
write
on a
it
piece of
down.
paper and hand it over to the volunteers. They will hand it over to the session chair. He will ask the questions. They'll write it down. They'll write it down, ma'am.
Paper chahiye to I can give it to you, or your faculty members, anybody can give that. But it's better to write it down because this is a documentation which goes along with uh, the kind of proceedings which will be kind of published. So in that case, this has to be formal. It cannot be as discussion based as what we think normally in the seminars. That is why this. So those questions, relevant questions, will be also published. What are the kind of things which was done that time? Okay, I will start because being a fresh, the last presentation, I will start in a reverse manner. So the Sujit and Rajesh, I may, oh, you are here. So I just have to.
Hello.
At the outset, I just wanted to congratulate that it was a relevant topic which you were trying to address and talked about. So it's important to identify such issues and try to kind of do a research upon. I just have a couple of questions and one observations. Um, how you are, how you have derived the poor nature of current artificially designed urban play areas. How you have placed that argument, with what referencing, what kind of citations, any kind of referrals you have, very formal referrals other than your perception, because many times we perceive something, but in a research, what we require. So I didn't, unfortunately, I would ask the presenters to actually, if I have a paper, then I could go through it, but it's through a presentation, I'm only reviewing, so I'm asking this question. And the second, uh, have you confirmed the kind of parameters of comparison on the equality merit when you're comparing the Japan and the Indian context? Because there are various different parameters or other aspects which are too different to compare with. So if you're comparing something, it has to be equitable when you're comparing and deriving something. So that is the second question. And the observation was, if you would have just given a glimpse of the kind of questionnaire which you asked for, because sometimes in a research what we say is something which is very leading questions versus very neutral questions. So what was the kind of thing which was being done so that your validity of your sampling and the inference which you draw becomes very correct, so that the research efficiency is being taken care. Yeah.
Right. So, am I audible? So, starting with the random sampling method, so we had a list of 15 questions which we had prepared, and we had circulated these questions through, online mode. So we have floated Google form with the students or the children which we found are living in Thakur village itself, and we managed to get good responses for that. So the kind of questions which we had asked in the research was very basic, considering the age and the psychology of the children. So the questions were mostly talking about, do you like playing? That was our first question. Like, do you like playing outside? So it started off with that question, and then we asked them, what kind of places do you play? Then do you have any natural element along with the play? So the answers which we received was very surprising, that they told us the kind of spaces that they have for playing was either the driveways, the parking lots, or the leftover places in the plot. So considering the fact that where these play spaces are situated, it was very, very, not designed or not planned properly. Talking about the public park scenario in Thakur village, we got to know that all these parks are designed from a very standardized perspective. So they do have a very typical approach of having pathways and certain lawn areas and everything. The kind of research which we did, understanding the play spaces, we got to know that children don't require a standardized play space. Considering our childhood, we had a flexibility of choosing our play depending upon the natural conditions. So the overall analysis of the feedback that we took, the questions which we asked, we got to know that currently there is no such planning or even a thought which is given in making spaces for the children. So the questions were very basic. They were not very.
I am not worried about the kind of basic questions are there. If it that is why I said it was an observation. I have not been saying as a question. If you show it, then it becomes relevant and immediately understanding that where the questions is not leading or anything which you are trying to. Apart from that, I just have one observation that when you're talking about the nature insertion in the, I would say not play area, but I would say recreation, because the recreation and play are different. Because when I say play, whole India will want to play nowadays. So women also being projected, having World Cup, everybody wants to play a cricket. So kind of popular game now because of the there are other things people want to do which has been projected to them. So when you are playing, the nature doesn't come into picture. It's only the play area which matters. So when you are defining something, the play versus the nature. So whether those are can be matched together or not is what the kind of question you should ask before you put up a title very correctly. Because the title shows play areas versus what you are talking in terms of recreation. And then the recreation has a larger umbrella which can talk about interface of nature versus like you go for excretion. That is where the recreation happens and that is where the nature will come into place. But when you talk about play area only, and apart from that, you also talked about only the gated communities because you took the example of your immediate vicinity, and that is why the play areas are designed. When you go beyond, like what, and there's what you were saying that earlier there was no gated communities, so we found our places. It was not given to us. It has been derived. So that is how when the derivation was there, then you explore. Now the exploration part is missing. So those are the kind of things I just wanted to kind of.
And regarding the case reference with the Japan case study and the Thakur village, so what we found out in the Japan case study was that there was a lot of aspects which they thought of, like having a natural vegetation layer, having a water body layer, having a play area layer. So in that, they were educating the.
No, I was not worried about what you got. When you take a case study, there has to be a similarity of the context. So when you basic context similarities has to be matching the density. When you talk about Japan, the density versus what we have. If you have taken a neighborhood from the similar density model. So Japan is also a similar kind of thing. If you go to Tokyo, it's the highest dense city. And then if you take an example from there and you're comparing with here, then its possibility of doing is there. But the kind of thing which you have shown there may not be from the city centers, but maybe from the peripheral thing. In that case, how you compare? So that comparative modeling, that's what I'm saying, that when you do a comparison, it has to be kind of, you cannot, as what we say, apple to orange.
Can't be
so
directly compared.
Yeah. So that is only my observation which I trying to, so that was a question which was been there. And then first was the how you derive that poor nature. But now eventually that also should have been established.
Yeah,
I'm just giving an input so that it can be improved. If we want to kind of publish the paper, these kind of things which will be required. So that these are the things which if you address, if it's there, that is why I'm saying I'm not seeing the paper at this point of time. But if it was there, then it's no problem. But if it's not, then you should make sure that it gets added up.
We actually did the evaluation of all the spaces which are currently there in Thakur village. So evaluation was based on certain parameters like how is the character of the space, are there any natural elements. So there were few parameters and we actually went on for a field study and we actually did a study and based on which we had evaluated these spaces.
When you are talking about very specific context, so you can colon it and then add that as a part of this. So it becomes specific. Now then you are talking about Thakur village as your intervention area. So the paper becomes relevant to that particular context only. You don't have to worry about it. Nobody can ask. Now you being generic in the title, then the generic questions will be kind of. can ask the question. I don't have. As the, no, I'm not saying that any reductions on the. Okay, okay. So the question has come, which if you consider the play area as your concern kind of area, then it says that what you predict from here onwards, the play patterns of the future, because as what he's rightly saying that everybody is talking about, you talking about my generation, your generation, and the current generation. But what will be the kind of thing for future, whether they want to go, or it will be a virtual reality with 3D and 7D screens where you actually feel the thing without going out also for that matter. That is what.
Right. So a very genuine question, I feel. This is a question even with my generation we had faced, that we always had this spaces which are designed by our elders. So when we talk about your generation and when you are talking about virtual realities and the future of play spaces, what I believe is that there is a phenomena called as biophilic needs of human. So all of us has that intrinsic value in us that we seek nature, we want to be in nature. That has been there with us since our ancestors. So that can't be denied, that can't be ignored rather, I would say. So virtual reality or any kind of artificial intelligence or playscapes which are designed very highly equipped definitely can't match up to what the natural setting or surrounding does to a human. So I feel that even if you have a lot of infrastructure and you build best playscapes, but if it is not garnished with nature or natural elements, which we have been seeing since our childhoods, it is definitely not possible to reap benefits. So I feel that all of us should take this onus and opportunity of this conference to understand that we need to nurture our environment and nature because that is somewhere our future lies in future. Yeah.
On a lighter note, I just want to end this saying that in future, biophilic insertions will be not a play or recreation, it will be a therapy given after what you go through. Yeah, so to the next presenter, in the reverse order, Dipali Vadavkar, though she was later, so she, on a question answer session, she is on a front runner. So do you feel that you need to place your argument in a given social setup or a given city or town? Because what you said, there are lots of examples was very generic in nature. I don't know whether. I'm sorry. I just repeat that. Do you feel that you need to place your argument in a given social context or setup, or a physical context like a city or town, so that you can define what you mean by, because what happened that there are lots of things, because the kind of gender equality or the issues for a women in Mumbai versus Solapur versus Delhi versus Haryana will be different. So if you can boil down to something very specific and then can make your argument within that, so it will become specific and the kind of conclusions will be implementable. Otherwise, the diversity of the issues may not give you a rightful kind of conclusion which is implementable or generic in nature. That's what the, so have you felt that? That was a kind of first question. Or you want to answer that first and I ask next?
Hello, it's working? Yeah, actually when I thought about this, I was looking at urban India overall and all the cities, and the reason why I did not do that, though I have taken only one case study which is placed in Mumbai, I did not do that because I thought that the probable solution that I had is a little open-ended, wherein I have listed down a few of the activities that can be conducted, and then those could probably be altered as per the requirement of that city. So that open-ended solution is there. And since I'm using an existing social setup, I'm again not saying that you need to build something for it. It is again, as per, so my intention of this writing this paper is saying that there is a requirement of something similar to this in every city in India today. I think abroad, a lot of these kind of centers are there in cities, in towns, in neighborhoods where shelters for women are available, where clothing is provided in suddenly overnight if a woman has to leave the house because of a family crisis or a family spat, then she can go and just, register herself in that place. And there are also counselors who help those women in understanding their human rights, what kind of schemes are available for them to get employment, to be self-sufficient. That infrastructure, I think, in our country is completely missing. So I was also, when I wrote this paper, I did a lot of research on the existing schemes. So India has a lot of schemes, but the implementation at grassroots level, I think, is missing, which can be just done by an insertion of something like this in a neighborhood, which is why the intention was of not taking one particular city, because I thought that the issue is there everywhere, maybe more or less depending on how cosmopolitan or how open the city is. Like in Mumbai, it may not be as bad as in probably in a smaller city.
So, in case there was a next question which was there, which may not get answered because that was how you propose to achieve the goals of UN for gender equality. Because you were saying that it is open-ended, so you have to take the initiative, and whatever the kind of policy which you have, you need to just make them aware and take the steps from. So the steps has to be from the stakeholder rather than not creating something.
At a neighborhood level, it is always open-ended. So that was the idea behind keeping it.
Okay. Other two things which I just want to ask. It's an observation. In a presentation, at least, the methodology was not pronounced formally. So if you have, then there is no issue. But if you don't have, then you need to kind of put up in a paragraph how you went about it, because that makes important kind of gesture to understand the way you have gone about the research. So that methodology is very important. And what are the, because that again the questions still become irrelevant because you are trying to take about the steps which the person has to take in terms of policy and awareness and the legal aspects of it. But I just had a question then, that what are the elements of urban design which can inform and address the gender equality, that is. But that is, I guess, that could be further from here onwards.
Elements in urban design?
Yeah, which can inform and address this gender equality for that matter. If you feel there is something which can be done, because now you are concentrating that facilitation center is one thing which is there, but lots of equality issues are not only the facilitation, it's not about aftermath, as the kind of SDGs talked about and salutogenic goals say that the prevention is better than cure. So what are the kind of preventive measures, not completely when you have a spat and you need to leave the house, that's another story, but the equality issues or a kind of issues to the women's and safety doesn't come only when these things happens. It can happen during the thing. So anything which you thought of, which
I
can
think the UN women, those 5 parameters that they said, where if those are, I think, become our way of life, then it automatically will become a gender equal society.
Those are the generic thing which says, but how to translate that into
so I think that
urban
is not
design
something that is only possible, like you said, if it was one city that I had taken.
Yeah, that
but for
becomes an important aspect.
It will be difficult to do.
So I'm done. Anybody
regarding the methodology, yes, the study was mainly data collection and the case study, and I've also studied the policies. So I should have mentioned that.
It was not, so I believe that it must be there, but because it was not been pronounced. So if it is, I'm just making sure that if it is going to go for publication, those aspects are there so that it gets very correctly done, and then there is no more revisions which has to be sent from the publishing people. That's it.
It was there in the paper.
Yeah. So I said to the organizers that if I had a paper, then it becomes easier for you. No, if I had those, then make sure that tomorrow session, at least they have the reference paper so that it becomes easier that these questions may not arise. Yeah. Thank you, Dipali.
Thank you.
Dattatreya Ambre, he's there online. Can put him up.
Sir, you can ask the question.
Yeah, Mr. Dattatreya, are you online?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. I just because your presentation doesn't reveal very correctly, because your title shows that you're dealing with the Solapur station premises in terms of slum
Yes.
interventions. What are the various concerns the people over there had? Apart from they will be evicted. That's one concern which is very policy level interventions. The Supreme Court has, nobody can do anything about that. Unless then the parliament takes a decision or assembly takes a decision to pass a law or bill in that. But whatever, apart from that, what are the kind of concerns as an architect or interventionist you had, which you wanted to put up as a research questions or an argument? So that is the question I wanted to have as a first thing.
Yes. In this research, sir, this court decision is taken by the government in Delhi for opposed that for decision of the railway government. First, you provision of this slum people have been relocated, and then get the demolition part. And this time has to be government has sanctioned the stay for I जो कंडीशन है उस पे स्टॉप करके रखा है उन्होंने, बाद में कोई इम्प्लीमेंटेशन नहीं हुआ है।
So why I asked you this question is
मेरा जो केस स्टडी पर्पस है नेरोबी सिटी का, तो इंडिया में कहीं किस लिए पॉसिबल नहीं है ये?
नहीं, see what I wanted to understand, I was not able to gauge what your research question or the argument is. See, was no argument which was seen. You are kind of documenting which is the existing situation, and you are saying that this is what has been provided in some case study which should not be done, which we normally do in any dissertation project. What I'm trying to say is, what is your argument over here which you want to put it up? Because I'm not able to understand the argument of yours.
In my city that time this issue for some paper publication, and as like Guntevari in my city, service road are individual plot owner have been kept the plot and sell out the plot, and this plot get the permission corporation and also provided the basic facilities, and railway government has to be declared this is unofficially and get the action.
Sir,
the people are go to the high court and get the stay.
Dattatreya, this is what you are saying as a solution. What you are trying to do is offsetting something which is there in the law and then try to accommodate. That's what. But see what happens. We are writing a research paper. You are trying to say that documentary analysis of a slum encroachment in railway station. So have you established that encroachment? How much quantitatively there is something data which has been there, which you can establish by saying this?
Excuse me, sir. I request you to please. आप मुझे हिंदी में बोलिए, मैं आपको क्लेरिफिकेशन दूंगा. Okay? My language is problem because I am not a
that's okay. That is not a problem.
I'm a professional and architect. Please give me question in Hindi or Marathi.
दत्तात्रेयजी, मी तुम्हाला एवढं विचारतोय की तुमचा जे टायटल सांगतं की डॉक्युमेंटरी अँड अनालिसिस ऑफ स्लम एन्क्रोचमेंट इन रेल्वे एरियाज आहे, बरोबर आहे ना? त्याचं काय डॉक्युमेंटेशन आहे तुमच्याकडे आणि त्याच्यावरचं तुमचं आर्ग्युमेंट काय? आता तुम्ही जे मगाशी म्हणालात की रेल्वे हॅज टू ॲक्सेप्ट अनऑफिशियली अँड डू द नीडफुल, हे आज जे करायचं ना ते रिसर्च पेपर्सच्या डोमेनमध्ये येत नाही. आपल्याला काय करायचं, फॅक्ट फाइंडिंग करायचं आणि त्याच्यावरचं फॉर्मल सोल्युशन विथ सम रेफरन्सिंग आपल्याला घ्यायचं आहे. ते कुठे मला दिसत नाही आहे तुमच्या ह्याच्यामध्ये. म्हणून काही तुमच्याकडे काही मेथोडॉलॉजी विच यू हॅव स्टेटेड इज अ गुड मेथोडॉलॉजी, बट हॅव यू अप्लाइड अँड हाऊ यू अप्लाइड ते तुम्ही कसं वापरलं आहे तुमच्या रिसर्च पेपरमध्ये इज नॉट रिव्हील्ड. अगेन आय विल गिव्ह अ बेनिफिट ऑफ डाऊट टू यू सेईंग दॅट आय डोंट हॅव अ रिसर्च पेपर. आत्ता माझ्याकडे नाही आहे तो, मी तुमचं प्रेझेंटेशनच बघूनच तुमच्याशी बोलतो आहे. पण मला ह्या गोष्टी आढळल्या. कसं असतं की मला ज्या दिसत आहेत त्या मी बोलणं माझं कर्तव्य आहे ॲज अ सेशन चेअर. सो हे तुम्हाला मी सांगायचा प्रयत्न करतोय. जर तुमच्याकडे नसेल तर यू कॅन ऑलवेज वर्क अपॉन इट, बिकॉज इफ दिस पेपर हॅज टू गेट अ पब्लिश्ड दीज माझे प्रश्न जर तुमच्याकडे त्याची उत्तरं असतील तुमच्या पेपरमध्ये तर काही गरज नाही आहे, पण जर नसतील तर ती ॲड्रेस करा, एवढंच मला तुम्हाला सांगायचं आहे. दिस इज ऑल्सो समथिंग विच वी आर ट्राईंग टू, आपण हेल्प करायचा प्रयत्न करतो आहे. वेदर द फॉर्मॅट, कंटेंट, त्याचा आउटकम हे बरोबर आहे की नाही ह्याच्या विचाराने आपण आय एम ऑफ सेशन चेअर नॉट फॉर आस्किंग क्वेश्चन, टू मेक शुअर दॅट what you have stated as an argument or a title is making sure that it is been correctly placed so that it can be published. एवढंच आहे माझा रोल तेवढाच आहे. ठीक आहे. So if you don't have an answer at this point of time, it's okay, but you need to prepare that answer through your paper. ठीक आहे.
येस, ओके. ह्या पेपरमध्ये बेसिकली आपण कॉजेस, सोल्युशन अँड डिसग्रेडेशन काय याच्यावर अभ्यास केला. आपण त्याचे कॉजेस, कारणे काय ते शोधलीत आणि सोल्युशन काय होऊ शकतंय आणि त्याच्यावर कशा पद्धतीनं काम करायचंय.
पण कॉजेस तुमच्या हिशोब
नाही, हे कसं आहे, माझा टॉपिक ह्यूज आहे. काय मला इंटरेस्ट आहे याच्यामध्ये, मी पीएचडी सुद्धा करू शकतो, परंतु नॉट पॉसिबल. दिस इज अ गव्हर्नमेंट पॉलिसी आणि गव्हर्नमेंट पॉलिसी तयारच होणार नाही, कधीच तयार होणार नाही. दिस इज अ स्लम पॉकेट. स्लम पॉकेटमध्ये तुम्ही भारतामध्ये ज्या ठिकाणी स्लम आहे त्या ठिकाणी वेगळे नियम लावता. हे सुद्धा भारताचे नागरिक आहेत, त्यांच्यासाठी वेगळे नियम का?
ठीक आहे सर, ओके, थँक्यू.
पॉसिबल आहे. ना सुद्धा आवास योजनेमध्ये घर देऊ शकता. रेंट बेसिसचा जो प्रॉब्लेम आहे, ठीक आहे, त्यांचं आधार कार्डवर एलिजिबिलिटी ग्रँट होती, त्यांचं घर असेल, ते इथं शिफ्टिंग फक्त पोट भरण्यासाठी लोक आलेले आहेत इथे.
सर मला काय म्हणायचं म्हणजे हे सगळं म्हणताय ना, हे तुम्हाला माहिती आहे बिकॉज तुम्ही त्या तिकडूनचे रेसिडेंट आहात. ओके, आपला रिसर्च पेपर जेव्हा जातो तेव्हा हा सगळा डेटा आहे तो फॉर्मली प्रेझेंट करायला लागतो. तो असायला लागतो तुमच्या पेपरमध्ये, किंवा असेल असं मी मान्य करतो. तो नसेल तर तो टाकणं महत्त्वाचं आहे, बिकॉज तुम्ही प्रत्येक ठिकाणी पोहोचू शकत नाही, म्हणूनच रिसर्च पेपर लिहिला जातो.
आणि मला लिमिट काय आली सर आपलं पेपरचं, ज्यावेळेस मी राईटअप करत होतो, फक्त 2000 वर्ड्स मध्ये पेपर फिनिशिंग करायचं होतं.
पण सगळे इंटरनॅशनल आहे ते, हे तुमचं आणि माझं नाही.
एवढं डाटा एवढा याच्यामध्ये शॉर्टमध्ये पॉसिबलच नाही. इव्हन मला प्रेझेंटेशन करताना फक्त 7 मिनिट मिळाले, माझे सगळे मुद्दे कव्हरच झाले नाहीत.
मला वाटतं तुम्ही पीएचडी करत असाल ना, तुम्हाला हेच शिकायला जाताय तुम्ही. ओके, हे कसं करायचं, कन्साइज कसं करायचं इन्फॉर्मेशन, आणि कसं प्रेझेंट करायचं, इज दॅट्स व्हॉट यू ऑल्सो विल बी लर्निंग. सो इट्स युअर जर्नी स्टार्टेड. मेक शुअर दॅट
आता इथून लक्षात घेईन मी की कशा पद्धतीनं टॅकल करायचं ते.
ओके.
आणि माझं ऍक्च्युअली काल येणार होतं, म्हणजे आज फिजिकलीच अटेंड करायचं होतं.
नाही सर, ओके सर, ओके, आय अंडरस्टूड युअर थिंग.
नेक्स्ट टाइम आय विल बी ट्राय
ओके,
इन फिजिकल मोड.
ठीक आहे, ओके, थँक्यू. थँक्यू. ओके, हाय नुपूर. Are you there, Nupur?
Yes, sir, I'm there.
Okay. So I have a specific observation because what I also, the same question which goes to earlier presenter, the same thing applies to you also. What is your basic argument you are trying to put up?
Sir, can you please repeat the question?
I will repeat that. I just wanted to understand what is your basic argument you are trying to do, because what you talked about is very generic climate change concerns, which is there everywhere. So they are more generic, which was put up. So what was your specific argument which you want to do under a climate change? Okay, that is the kind of first thing which I wanted to ask, because if you are writing a research paper, there has to be key areas which you want to kind of address, and for which you have studied some relevant kind of literature, and you have built your argument, and then you try to kind of prove that argument through your whatever method you choose, whether it's a comparative analysis, a kind of quantitative methods or qualitative methods, but you need to do that. So I didn't find, at least in the presentation, it was more a generic information which is available, which you have put up. What is your basic argument you want to put up? I didn't understand. So if you can just narrate what you want to kind of argue, or what is your research questions which you want to kind of put up, that can at least allow my alignment to your presentation and try to extract information which can be relevant for me.
Okay, sir. Actually, I know this is little generic presentation because this is the first time I'm attending. Like I'm try to get into the sustainability because I have done my PhD in disaster management. But I think that is the sustainability is required the current need. So that was my approach. That nowadays we have seen. So most of the time, it's like everywhere the construction is. Everybody is talking about construction. Like very few people are like talking about a sustainable construction. So that is what the motive behind the presentation. That sustainability, like recycle, reuse material. If you can incorporate in the building construction, that can reduce definitely a lot of emission, carbon emission. That is what my presentation has already explained. And that really a great initiative will be happened in India, because everywhere we go to any tourist place, like we have observed like lot of waste, like bottles, plastic bottles and everything is there lying there. So if we can like have any like mechanism or the technology that we can use those materials which are just lying and creating problem for the environment, that can
Madam,
definitely resolve the problem that we are
yeah,
facing for
that's okay. This
and
is
that can really help for the coming generation.
this is everybody's kind of concerns here who are attending the conference. I'm saying that there are lots of people, there are lots of
Yes,
research
yes,
which has
sir.
already happened on similar lines
Yes,
what
sir.
you are talking about. So if you have read through it, then you can kind of filter out that this is what I should not do. This is already done. So what I should be taking a next material for recycling or upcycling for the building industry, that's what you should be doing that. So I
Yes, sir.
guess maybe it's an initiation which you should be doing that anyway. But whether
Yes,
that
sir.
can turn into a research paper for a publication is
Yes.
what we need to kind of understand. So once we
Yes,
go
sir,
through your
definitely.
paper, whether there is specificity to the paper or not, we will evaluate and let you know though. So similarly, because it
Yes.
was very generic, the methodology and aim and objectives were not there because there was no research argument or any aim which was set up to you. So I guess you need to review your argument. Look at the paper, and if there are missing links, if you are there, if you can make sure that if you add those, do that so that it can go for a publication from here onwards.
Okay, definitely. I will
Thank you.
add aim and
Thank you.
objective, sirs. And one more thing I just wanted to share, because that is, I think, that is really required for current needs. That is like reducing the use of plastic, because I am basically
Madam,
from Andaman Nicobar Island.
everybody has the same situation.
Yes, sir.
And
And
everybody
that what
agrees.
exactly I'm
So,
saying.
see,
Like I'm
ma'am,
basically from
madam.
Andaman, and Andaman does not allow the PET bottles, like one bottle, 1 liter bottle of water. So if that really reduce
Madam,
lot of
Andaman with
pollution
the
in
kind of
Andaman.
context and the perimeter, they can manage that. When you have a population of 1.3 billion, then it becomes a problem. So
But if there is
let
any
us.
policy and that like
That
it
is
is
why you're
mandatory
doing,
for the people, then
madam,
definitely it
madam,
will possible, sir.
madam. That is why you have to do the research. Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, definitely, sir.
So the last one now, which was presented first, Trupti Bishwas. Um, the first couple of observation I'll tell you first, and then I will. As an architect, we have a tendency to write in capitals, but I guess it's important for write in the sentence format because it becomes really difficult for people to read and assimilate at the time of presentation. We are not being trained to read very correctly, except some nomenclature, but otherwise it becomes difficult. So that's the first observation, because I was not able to relate that immediately because I had to make efforts, and you were being precise for your time given. Then it was more difficult to read through what you have been presenting over here. Yeah, so make sure that is avoided. I am saying that because there are many people, architectural students who are there, they should also make the note of that you should not mix this, because in the sheet, it looks nice, it is readable, legible, but when it comes to presentation of a research type, then it becomes difficult. Apart from that, I felt your paper had, it comes from the urban realm, and we have been dealing with urban design. So there was graphic which was missing in a presentation. I don't know whether it is there in your paper or not, But at least in presentation, apart from that small figure and the one graph, I guess that was missing. So if you can do that, and so in the similar things, there are certain kind of couple of questions only. There are not more than that. So how you have arrived of the perception of the social space? What you mean by what you mean as social space? How you define that, which was not been coming up in the, at least in the presentation which I went through. Is the comparative case studies your methodology? Is the way you have been deciding? And what are the kind of, you talked about the figure ground ratio as one of the aspects by which you derive that. But when it comes to a social space, is only the method or only the parameters by which you can define a social space, or there is anything else which you have written in the paper which not been presented? So that is the second question. And what are the architecture elements useful for creating a social space, which is more or similar to what I asked Deepali also, because they are coming to a similar realm. Yeah.
Hello, hello. Is this on? Yeah. So the first question where, whether there's any work which has been done in terms of how do we look at the perception of what you feel is social space today. So that is the central theoretical part or the theoretical framework of the ongoing broader topic. Although the main title is Urban Social Sustainability, the inquiry angle is through social spaces. And when, a definition for social space was to be made, that time it was seen that, there have been many theorists, more of sociologists who have entered into this zone to trying to define the social space. And being an urban designer, currently I'm at that verge of, how we look at space and how sociology defines social space. The moment we start looking at not only the physical aspects, but also the perception layer of
that is why I asked this question specifically. Also, it was in the space of presentation. So the audience is, you are an urban designer, nobody knows you are urban designer, you know. So there are certain people who you want me to kind of get interested in your kind of research. And so if you can define something preliminary, it becomes easier for, that is why I asked that. I'm not denying anything which you don't know or anything, but it becomes easier for people to perceive your paper correctly, because when you're presenting, if you create that canvas for people to understand, it becomes easier for people to relate what you are trying to talk later. That is.
I am also currently at a very preliminary level of looking at the theory of social space. And, I think most of us are aware that Lefebvre was the one who introduced the theory, and it was about production of space. So it is that space doesn't exist, it is produced by the activities and by people. So with that theme, the inquiry has started, and it further goes into, looking at the spaces, whether we can there's a typology which exists. So maybe, again, there's a theory which establishes that there's a perceived space, there is a lived space. And of course, there's a represented space also. So the current research will take this in more detail, and whatever has been presented today is a very urban design oriented mapping, and the parameters are very physical oriented. But the moment you start understanding, if you have to define social space with these three aspects, it's about the people's perception. Then you have to break through the regular parameters of urban design and enter into sociology. So currently I'm at that juncture where, I'm just setting my inquiry angle of how do you start investigating from this and move towards defining social space with this trilogy, which is already there, of perceived, conceived, and represented.
So what I believe is, when you are in initial stage of your research, then it becomes easier, rather it is advised to kind of do a literature review paper rather than a projection or conclusion level paper where you are trying to give something out. So it becomes easier because you're reviewing the literature and you're trying to identify gaps, and then you're saying that how we should be going ahead from these kind of gaps. So that if makes sense, because you are also in a preliminary stage of your research. So that is just an advice which is there, where if you are there in that, don't try to conclude something, you try to review something rather than concluding something. That is what is advisable. That's it. Thank you. I'm done. If anybody else has a question. I hope I have made relevant questions to you people, where you can take this in a positive manner to go ahead with your research area which you have started with. Yeah. I'm grateful for this audience been there. I guess it's important for you to get exposed. I guess it was nice that the colleges allow you to, rather exposing you to this kind of research, kind of inquiries, which will help some of the junior people to get corrected in their design dissertations, which is very important in 9th semester, and then to evolve the design further. So it is, thank you, Dheeraj sir, and Sir Naik sir, thanks to have me on as a session chair.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for such a wonderful session of and interesting questions. And I'm sure all the authors and the audience also will understand how to go about now conducting a research, starting a research or thinking about it. This has been very valuable inputs from you, sir. And I'm sure everybody will really benefit from it. And thank you to the audience and the authors and the panelists, online, offline, for being a participant of this and conducting such interesting topics and